Hello, today I'm going to be talking about intercultural communication, which would be the exchange of information between individuals from different cultural backgrounds. The three main things that I'm going to be addressing are Hofstede's six-dimensional model, Edward Hall's high versus low context culture, and then the MIT article that I found valuable to provide further insight on this topic. The six dimensions are going to be power distance, individualism versus collectivism, masculinity versus femininity, uncertainty avoidance, long-term versus short-term orientation, and then indulgence versus restraint. And then Hofstede from the Hofstede.com website, greethofstede.com website, he states that the six basic issues society needs to come to terms with in order to organize itself are these six dimensions that he's given. So four dimensions in the United States that highly influence our culture would be individualism versus collectivism, power distance, masculinity versus femininity, and then indulgence versus restraint. So regarding individualism, we are a very individualistic country in the United States. We rely on our own self-achievements, and we're taught from a very young age to be self-resilient and to strap up your boots and the American dream kind of framework where we can get anything we want if we work hard enough. We are taught that our personal achievements matter the most, and that comes full circle when we see the relationships that we choose to make or choose to have. They're very individualistic based, whether it be networking at a job to get a promotion or simply just finding friends or companionship. We're doing that for our own individual needs. And then when you talk about our legal system, we see that we have individual rights that we highly value here in America. And then power distance, this leads me to talk about power distance. We have a very relatively low power distance here in America, although there is certain areas of business or places where there might be people of higher stature there's like complex issues with the equality you might have there. For the most part, we are a country where it's an open door policy, whether it be with our teachers or our bosses. We're able to voice our opinions, and we're not necessarily afraid of that power dynamic that might be had. And we're just taught that speaking up isn't necessarily a bad thing. So there's a low power distance here in America compared to other countries. And then I also wanted to talk about masculinity versus femininity. We are a masculine dominant country. We are taught to value competition, to value achievements, to want to be competitive and want to be tough and want to be resilient and face challenges, which would be inherently men or masculine traits. That's not to say that feminine traits are bad or feminine traits are weak. It just means that feminine traits can sometimes be more agreeable or more cooperative, and that's not necessarily the way that we go about things here in America. People are very confident and very proud of their success and proud of their achievement here. And then it leads me to talk about indulgence versus restraint. Our indulgence is very high here in America. We value celebration, we value good time, we value indulging in our desires, and we're not really taught to hold that back or restrain it. We're inherently just very indulgent people. We have malls with clothes filled to the brim. We have food courts with so many different options of food. We waste in America so much because of this indulgence that we partake in. And we see it during the holidays, we see it during Christmas, we see it during all these times where the economy's booming because people are indulging in what they want to, indulging in their good time. And America can sometimes look like a collectivism when you think about philanthropy or humanitarian work. And I added this quote at the bottom of this slide talking about that, how sometimes a culture could be both, but even if it is individualistic, it can have collective framework, but at the same time, that doesn't mean it's a collectivism country. This leads me to talk about high versus low context cultures. We in America have a very low context culture. We focus on straightforward messaging. We see it in business meetings, we see it in the customer service realm because we are so problem solving based here in America. We are straightforward with our messaging, we're straightforward with our problem solving. We don't want to leave any gray area. We try to be direct. We don't rely on shared meaning as much because the shared meaning can be so different here in America. We rely on, just like I said, that direct, explicit communication. As in the people that I worked with at a ski resort in Chile or Peru who are from countries of high context cultures, they might rely more on that shared meaning, respect for hierarchy, or nonverbal cues, nonverbal humor, facial expressions, and they're more subtle with their ideas, or if they want to bring something to the table, they're more subtle with it. They use words like maybe or we should do this, or however they put it, it's more subtle and not as direct, and there's a lot more room for assumption. The next thing I'm going to be talking about is the article that I chose, which is from the Communicating Across Cultures course. The topic is Mexico, and the name of the book is Mexican and Americans Cracking the Cultural Code by Nicholas Brealey Pub. Chapter 4, A Different Sense of Space, was really valuable to me because it talked about power distance and it talked about that individualistic type of framework that people have here in America and how that might affect people working if they work with people who have maybe a more collective or less individualistic framework or mindset. They talk about how there is a physical and social space, and how in America we respect our physical space and we highly value our physical space and our social spaces. So if somebody, for example, stands too close to us in line, that could come off as inconsiderate or rude, when really they're just simply standing in line. But to us, it could seem inconsiderate or rude. So that would be a breakdown or miscommunication regarding that. So yeah, that is my presentation, and my references are here on the last slide. And I love talking about this and learning about this, and it was awesome to see everybody's presentation. So thank you guys so much, and so sorry it was late. I had a hard time recording everything, but thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.